There was an atheist. He was spending a quiet day on the lake when all of a sudden his boat was attacked by the Loch Ness monster. One easy flip, it tossed him and his boat high into the air. Then it opened its mouth, waiting to swallow. As the man tumbled head over heels, he cried out, "God, help me." All at once, time stood still. The whole picture froze. God said, "But I didn't think you believe in me." The atheist said, "God, please give me a break. 2 minutes ago, I did not believe in the Loch Ness monster either." Dear friends, in Jesus Christ, we expect to get a good return for any investment we might make. When we invest time and energy in some project or other, we expect that we will see good results for our efforts. Yet, we know from our own experience that we don't always get a return that is proportionate to what we have invested. The property market can collapse unexpectedly, and the money we have invested does not give us a good return. People in whom we invest a great deal will often disappoint us. We give them resources that can benefit them, and they do not use those resources as well. People can be given a lot and yet give back very little. It is that kind of experience of a poor return for a good investment that is reflected in today's readings, the first reading. The landowner loved his vineyard and invested generously in it, doing all that was required to ensure that it produced a good quality crop. He had an understandable expectation that it would yield good grapes, and yet it yielded sour grapes. For the prophet Isaiah, this story was not just about a vineyard. It told the story of God's relationship with his people. God has invested greatly in his people, and yet the return of God's loving investment was disappointing in its extreme, bloodshed in the land, resulting in a great cry coming from the oppressed instead of justice and integrity. The very disappointing return on God's investment in his people did not lead God to reject them. Instead, he invested more heavily in them by giving them his Son, as the parable Jesus speaks in today's gospel makes us clear. Even when that investment was met with violence and rejection, God did not take back his investment. Rather, the rejected stone became the cornerstone of a new community to which all people were invited to belong. God, having given his only Son to see him crucified, gave him again as the risen Lord and invited all people to become his followers and thereby find life. The reading suggests that God is slow to give up on us. God continues to invest in us even when the return is so small. Most of us are only prepared to invest for so long when a return is not forthcoming. God is much more persistent than we are. God keeps on offering us the gift of His Son. He keeps on sending His Son to us. Every time we celebrate the Eucharist, God puts before us the gift of His Son anew, holding Him out to us as the bread of life. The Eucharist is, in a sense, a sacrament of God's persistent love. Although God continues to invest in us, and although His investment is not dependent on the return that we give, God does nevertheless expect some return for His investment. In the words of the two parables in today's reading, God looks to us to bear the kind of fruit that God's investment in us has a right to expect. In the Gospel, Jesus refers to the fruits of the kingdom of God. Such a fruit would certainly include the justice and integrity. It also includes all that Paul refers in today's second reading: everything that is true, everything that is noble, everything that is good and pure, everything that can be thought virtuous and worthy of praise. Elsewhere, in one of his letters, Paul refers to the fruit of the Spirit, the fruit of the kingdom, as love, joy, peace, kindness, gentleness, generosity, faithfulness, and self-control. This is the sample of the fruit that God looks to our lives to bear in response to the great investment that God has made and continues to make in us.